How are you today?
Doing very well, doing very well.
Good. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Or is it really all that busy?
It's not that busy.
I
just tell people it's busy, but it's really not that busy.
You're a local comedian, and you also host this podcast called I Wish I Were Dead.
I Wish I Was Dead.
I Wish I Was Dead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to get that right. Where did that come from?
Well, just pretty much an everyday instance in the life of Neil. It focuses on like awkward situations, embarrassing moments, and I have a lot of them. We actually are starting our Denver comic series with all of Denver's top comedic talents. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to be recording, and then we'll be releasing those every Monday from now until the end of the summer. And we're just going to be talking about horrific performance stories, audience members that lose their shit in the middle of a show, and just other awkward situations, I guess.
So performance issues like erectile dysfunction?
Exactly. Definitely erectile dysfunction.
Something our audience would care about here.
Well, it was like we were just talking about before we started. We were talking about friends with benefits, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love having successful friends." Yes, if they gotta have dental, they gotta have healthcare, they gotta have all of those. And then I was like, "Oh, you're talking about okay."
Oh, right. All that you up text.
Right, exactly.
2 a.m.
And now that is something that I would say to somebody in an actual real life setting and not even think twice about it until they're like, "Are you stupid?" And then I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we weren't talking about the same thing.
We're getting down and dirty is what we're doing." Yeah. So
how'd you get into comedy?
Oh, I've been in it since high school. I actually started in community theater. I was a total theater nerd when I was, probably 5. And I was like the lead of all the plays in high school. And then I did a stand-up bit right before I graduated and at the thespian thing. And I didn't even want to do it. Thespian, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I could think of. So I went up there, I did my little audition. I got main stage, won first in state for stand-up comedy, and then was sent to Nebraska, got 6th in nationals. I was like two places away from making it to London, which is where they're going to do the internationals or whatever. So
that's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Congrats, that's really cool.
So I've always kind of just loved comedy and loved everything about it, and ran into you and found out about your dating podcast, and I was listening to a lot of stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, I am the guy that you're like warning people not to be in the dating world.
I'm warning.
Like I do all the wrong things.
Is that where you got the title King of Awkward?
Oh, totally, yeah. And my worst thing too is like, like if you're talking to somebody and you spit a little bit on their face, and everybody just kind of ignores it, it's not a big deal. Like I'm the first one to be like, I just totally spit on your face, and then I like start staring at it, and then I start getting really nervous, and then I start.
Do you ever like wipe it off?
You should. That's only the nice thing to do. That makes it go the extra mile.
Yeah, carry a handkerchief in your pocket just for that instance.
I should. I don't have one in my lapel here.
That is a fine tuxedo t-shirt, by the way.
Well, I dressed up for you. So I knew I was going to be on your show. So Dave, I was like, I brought out, all the stops.
I don't think you knew we were going to videotape, but...
Well, I didn't, but I did read some of the emails, and I was like, whatever you want to do.
Whatever we want to do.
I'm laying it all out on the table for you, man.
Right.
So,
speaking of which, what's your relationship status?
I'm not married, but we've been together for 3 years, me and my partner. Reason we're not married is I got too much debt, so a little bummed about that. I thought he was going to help out paying some of that off, but... So we made
another benefit coming.
Yeah, exactly, right? I was the first one to be like, let's do this. And he was like, no, I've seen your your
bank statement.
Yeah, so I was like, son of a bitch.
So this is a new era of bringing the dowry to the table. Is like the debt is negative dowry.
Right.
Right,
exactly. Negative dowry. I was hoping you'd pay some of those student loans off. My award-winning personality should, comes at a cost, man.
No, I'm sorry. You got 3rd internationally in that contest.
3rd?
In the award-winning personality contest.
Oh, yeah. No, I got like 10th in that one. There were some really cool guys there.
Sure, I bet. So I saw this, maybe it was a meme, maybe it was a quote on social media the other day, and the person who rides shotgun with you should be the same person who's going to ride the park or the bus bench with you.
Right.
And when it comes to like being transparent and open about what baggage you carry, like debt.
Yeah.
What percentage of Americans don't have student debt?
Oh, especially in today's.
Right.
Exactly.
And are we ever going to get out from under that? And should it hold us back in like actually getting married, engaged, or going to the next level?
Right. No, and that's actually it's a really good point.
I hope he listens.
Yeah, seriously, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only 20 grand. You can afford 10,000.
That's totally
Eric,
manageable.
let's go.
You know what? When we send your podcast to the top 10 in what category?
Comedy.
Comedy. Okay.
Comedy.
When we go top 10 in your comedy podcast, then I mean the pennies are gonna start rolling in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
$20,000 worth of pennies.
Well, I also am making him like do all the IT stuff. I literally on my podcast, I just sit there and talk. Everything else is on him.
Well, you're the talent.
Well, thank you. Exactly. So you're gonna be on the podcast, right?
I am.
So
yeah,
like
I'm
he
gonna
will
be
be
a
on the
guest.
podcast in my house, and then you can tell Eric this to his face. Eric, I'm looking right now at you, bud.
Like I'm making eyes with you through the YouTube video.
Where's my website? Why aren't we on iTunes? Dude. Shit, you know what, Dave? This is good that we met. This is really
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
I'm very
I
happy.
almost hit you with my car
Ah,
because
I was a little drunk.
and then as soon as we started talking, I'm like, oh my god, like we have to swap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not like swap. We had a polyamorous for the episode on. We're not swapping partners. We're just swapping guest spots on our podcast.
Exactly. So like we're swapping podcasts.
Yeah, nothing else.
We're slobbing our pods. Right? Is that right?
I think so.
that we could go with that.
They call it cross-pollinating or
Cross-pollinate. Yes. Yes. Let me pollinate that. What is it? Flower of yours or whatever. Nah, that didn't work.
Yeah, that was 20-some years ago.
So here's the awkward thing. Oh, okay, 20-something. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, right.
It's been a while for me too.
I'm 38. I mean,
Yeah.
like I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. So how hard is it to be married to you? I mean, I'm starting to get a pretty good picture of that.
It's a fucking nightmare. I mean,
I don't doubt that.
say a prayer for him because I am probably the hardest person to deal with. Like I said, I'm kind of loud, obnoxious, in your face. He's very quiet. He's very clean. I'm very messy. I just feel for the poor guy. Like I'm very happily, like I could say, like not married, but I'm a very happily married person, and Eric is not.
Sounds one-sided.
He's not a happily person. Yeah. So
How'd you guys meet?
Oh, so we were.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah, glutton for punishment, right? So I was working at his company that he works at now, and I was there longer, and my back faced his back in the cubicles. Mm-hmm. And so...
You needed a podcast producer,
I needed
an editor, and IT guy, and you're like, oh, match made in heaven.
Done. Well, he's a graphic designer, so he does all that stuff for a living. So, and then we just started... It was 4th of July 3 years ago, actually. And then we we met my parents at their house in Grand Lake, and hung out there, came down, and yeah, he's been around ever since. So yeah, not too bad.
Where do you, you've got a lot of friends in Denver, where do they meet people?
Where do they meet people? Tinder, sluts. No, I'm kidding. Tinder's fine, go for it, you know, and in and out. They go to like, where do they go? They go to the bar. A lot of people go meet people at the bar. Mm-hmm. Stoney's is actually a really good place to meet people.
Which one? Uptown or on
No,
Broadway?
the one on Broadway. Because that one's so packed all the time. I haven't been to the Uptown one yet. I know people go to, let's see, you can actually meet, like, ladies can meet straight guys at gay bars. There's a lot of, which
Really?
is just really weird.
I've actually heard of that happening at, what's the place in Rhino? Next door to Exto.
Oh, Trex?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so that's a crazy
Dance club.
A dance club.
Yeah.
But when I first was younger, the gay clubs were only gay people. And now, if you go out, it's everybody and anybody. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a cool, like, transition that society has gone through. Mm-hmm. A lot of people get in those kickball leagues. I know I have a lot of friends that do kickball, and actually, one of my friends met at kickball, and they just got married last year.
Oh, that's awesome. So, like, Play Mile High is one of those kickball leagues. I've done the softball side of Play Mile High.
Okay. And I've done kickball before, too. I don't know. And nothing against kickball people. I'm just an asshole. But, like, it reminds me of elementary gym class.
Yep.
And you're an adult.
Yep. Because you have one hand incapacitated with your beer.
Exactly.
And you're fumbling around, and I think that's the point.
Yeah, and then they dress up in costumes and they go to bars. By the way, if you're dressing up in costume and going to a bar and you're 37 years old, quit it. Stop.
Quit what? Life or?
Yeah, it's quit life. No. We don't want to say
or
that.
Kickball.
With the name of my podcast, I got to be careful.
Fair.
I wish I was dead.
Yeah, right. What I was listening to is like when people get so offended But also on that same episode, you gave a shout out to Suicide Prevention Hotline.
I try to do that as much as possible.
Yeah, and I respect that a lot.
So, and that is actually every year, whenever they say donate or for your birthday, I always do that one. I send at least probably $20 a month to them as well. That's a big deal too. Like with a lot of comedy and comedians, like a lot of people are very depressed, and like Robin Williams, for example. I mean, it's just horrific what people can go through. So that's a big passion of mine, is to make sure that, one, they get funding, two, people know where to go, and three, if you do come onto my podcast and you want to sit and listen and you're having those thoughts, maybe we can make you smile. Maybe you can call the number.
Fair enough.
So.
Absolutely. I'm a huge advocate for mental health. That's why our fitness and nutrition programs are built for mental health, self-confidence, self-efficacy, and decreasing stress.
See, that's awesome. You know, and it's just been such a privilege to meet you and like listen to some of the stuff that you have on your podcast that you talk about. Luckily, I'm with someone now, but if I was single, I mean, everything you talk about, I pretty much do the opposite of.
Okay, now let's talk about that, because this is like the juicy reason why I wanted to chat with you.
Yeah.
So what are some of the strategies we're teaching people that you would do the opposite of?
Oh, the TMI.
Oh, so you're an oversharer.
Oh, oversharer to the T. To the part where it's like, why did I just say that?
How so? What's the best story you can remember of like oversharing?
Oh Lord. Oversharing. Let's see,
TMI.
You know, when you're just meeting somebody and you're talking about, you know, a bad bowel movement you had once.
Or you spit on their face.
And then acknowledge it, even though they both have, you know, forgotten about it. But then the rest of the meal, I keep talking about me, I just have a really bad mouth. And then covering your mouth the rest of the meal like this, just to make it even more awkward. And like the whole date, you're like sitting like this because you're all nervous. Or telling someone that you're really nervous, or showing up to a date and being like, I am so hungover. And then not stopping drinks, because usually I think if you're on a first date, 2 drinks is like allowable. Anything more than that, you're kind of like showing yourself to be a drunk. And I just get loaded because I'm a nervous drinker.
Okay.
So if I get nervous, I'll start pounding it down. And halfway through the meal, I'm like shit faced, and they're getting up and leaving. And it's just a big mess.
It's a train wreck.
I
mean, I've been there before too.
Yeah,
absolutely. A date that I went on maybe like 2 years ago was probably the first date that I went on after my 3.5-year relationship. We're having a nice conversation at a nice bar, and had a whiskey, or she had a glass of wine or whatever. I don't really remember. And then we went to the second bar, and I had another drink, and she asked me a question, and my response was, "Well, I don't necessarily want to do this very often," and I kind of pointed back and forth to the two of us, and what I meant was I didn't want to go on too many first dates. What she took it as was like, I don't necessarily want to like be here that often or see you.
Did she call you out on it, or was she just like, oh, okay, later days?
Actually, like we got the tab and she left, and you know.
See, that's the thing about dating that's so weird. I used to get ghosted all the time.
Before the first date or after the first date?
Oh, after. I mean, maybe it'd be like a week or so. I'd date someone for like a week or so. And I don't know if I got too clingy or if I was too obnoxious. Yeah, it's probably all of those. But then I would just get ghosted. And it's so weird nowadays because you got all the social media and stuff. And like, they don't respond to your texts, and all of a sudden they just disappear from the face of the earth. And you're like, what the hell just happened? Because they can block people on Facebook and stuff. And it would just be the weirdest thing to me, because it's like all these people are just vanishing around. And I'm like, what is it, like the second coming of Christ or something?
Yep.
You know? Left behind. I was left behind. I'd totally be left behind.
So you weren't respecting anyone's bounderies, let alone your own.
I don't have. Yeah. I'm kidding, kinda.
I don't see you joking at all. You're a fucking comedian.
Yeah, right. We're best. We're sad people.
So speaking of blocked on social media, I went out with this girl maybe 5 times last year, and we had gotten to this like really awkward weekend where. I'd reach out, wouldn't hear from her for a little bit, and then she'd reach out and say, "Oh yeah, let's do Sunday. Yeah, that sounds great. Let me take a nap. I was up late last night," and then didn't hear from her until Monday afternoon. And that wasn't really the issue. I had already made a decision by then not to see her again, because I'm like, well, we kind of had plans, ish, something like that. And then the next day I was blocked on Facebook. And I just couldn't really comprehend that. So when it comes down to
aggressive much?
when it comes down to that decision, it's almost like, well, what are you hiding on social media that you don't want me to see?
Yeah.
And then a week later, I'm unblocked.
Yeah, so she's got some issues.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you got issues. If you're gonna go for the block button, you go full force with it.
You don't unblock the block.
No, you never unblock the block. If you unblock the block, you're just a blockhead.
You're kind of riding this roller coaster of anxiety and questioning and like wondering what the hell's going on in your own life versus what somebody else is gonna think of you. So what if you're seeing somebody else? We never DTR'd. We never. I mean, like, I don't even think we held hands or kissed in 5 dates because it was just like.
Oh, those are the worst though too. Because then you're like you're kind of excited, and then after a while you just get bored, and you're like, why am I even doing this?
It was never boring. It was almost like a ton of our core values were aligned, but there was just like this never like that sexual tension was not there.
Oh yeah.
And probably it's because she was seeing somebody else, and then as soon as she decided to commit to that person, blocked me on social media so that I wouldn't come between them.
And then it didn't work out, so then she unblocked you.
Unblocked me.
Ah, she's one of those blockers. Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, this is something that was new to me, and it left me kind of wondering. Thank God I had already been doing the podcast for like 4 months, so I had some training on how to handle that.
Did you bring it up on the podcast before now?
No, actually, I don't talk about my life much, my dating life on the podcast, because for the person who I'm currently seeing, that's not very fair.
Yeah, that would be kind of an invasion.
But the people in my past, let's have at it.
Oh, I love it.
Let's just throw them under the bus.
Well, you guys did the narcissistic one.
On Facebook the other day.
And so I was with somebody for 10 years before all this.
Whew.
Yeah, narcissist to a T. Like, was a freaking nightmare. And I listened to that, and I'm like, why the hell wasn't this out, like, 12 years ago? So I could have avoided that whole situation. And, like, the whole time, you start making excuses for the person. You're like, well, that's just who they are, and that's just what it is. And then before you know it, like, you have no hobbies, you have no life. It's all about them. Everything is about them.
Because they put self-doubt into you.
Yeah.
They're like, they make you question everything about yourself.
And then the lies and twisting it around, and everything y'all talked about was just on the mark. I was like, I think I listened to it twice.
Yeah, thank you very
and
much.
I shared it on Facebook.
And you definitely shared it.
Because I was like, look at this crap. This is what I'm talking about, Mom and Dad.
So I saw the share on Facebook, and at the moment that you shared it, my facial expression was, because it freezes frame.
Oh, yeah.
At that moment. Go back and look at it. It's so funny. Of like,
perfect.
What my face is doing at that moment, whether it's reaction to Rebecca's comment, or whether it's me in the middle of like a moment of talking. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's immortalized forever on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, like my whole face, like I'm terrible at taking pictures. So I have a lot of pictures where I'm like this, or I'm like half closing my eyes and just standing there like this. And I'm doing this now so people can pause it and then share it with my face like that. So then we're even.
So you're almost one-upping your own awkwardness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I make it bad and then I'm like, I can do better. And then I make it worse. So.
So what do you know about dating in Denver, or what is married life like in Denver in this?
Well, I mean, dating's pretty competitive here in Denver.
It's pretty savage, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's not like Portland where everybody's poly and you're just sleeping with everybody in White Rocks.
I haven't heard that.
Oh, Portland? Polyamorous capital of like the world. Okay. And so I actually have a couple friends out there that are in like 3 or 4 like triple or quadruple couples or whatever. And it's an interesting lifestyle. Sure. Way too much for me. Like I couldn't deal with that. They couldn't deal with me.
If you're awkward with 1, I can't imagine.
Oh my God.
Awkward with 3.
I'd be dead. Like I would literally, it would kill me. Like so. Anyways, but
you're blocking and unblocking people from Portland left and right.
Totally. I am not a blocker though. I am definitely a person that if I hit block, you will never talk to me again.
Fair enough.
So, but I do deal with a lot of blockers. Because then they'll block me and then add me as a friend again. I'm like, no, dude, you just blocked me. Like, I don't want to be your friend, you psycho. Get your shit together. Call a therapist. Call your dad. So
therapy's always a good go-to.
Therapy's big. Therapy's big. But for Denver, I have a lot of single girlfriends here, and I guess they're over 30, and they just feel like the pool of men with like, quality job, nice guys, doesn't have a drug or alcohol problem.
So not me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm a podcaster. That's not necessarily a good job.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. 20,000 pennies later.
And they're like, "You're a comedian. Tell me a joke." And I'm all like, "Get the fuck out of here." But
I actually had that question written down on my list.
I know.
So what,
Yeah, I know. I'm just, dude, awkward. We're all about awkward.
I know. It's almost like inviting a chef over to your house and say, "Oh, do you want to take over?"
Yeah, exactly. Serious. Make me something.
Make me a clown.
Yeah.
Or make me a bite clown. That
Right.
Wedding Crashers.
Yeah. Good movie, by the way.
I just watched it again on Netflix.
It's so good.
Make me a bite clown.
The best though, what's the one where Will Ferrell shoots himself with the tranquilizer gun?
Old School.
Oh God.
And he falls into the pool.
Oh God. Like,
and it's like Simon and Garfunkel, the song.
Like
comes
I
on,
cannot take. Yeah. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
and he's like dying, and then who saves him? Sean William Scott.
Yeah.
He's giving him mouth to mouth.
Oh man. And it's like that is like the
I'm
height
crying
of
and laughing.
the best thing I've ever seen. That or like when Jeff Daniels lights his leg on fire in Dumb and Dumber. Those are the two best comedic moments in film history for me. Just give me the damn number. And she's like, "What are you gonna talk like that?" And she like drives away. What were we talking about?
I have no idea. Something
we
about
derailed.
inviting a chef to come over and cook you dinner.
Dating Denver
Dating in Denver. Sorry.
Yeah,
this is no longer a podcast about authentic dating. It's now
I have taken over.
Podcast about being
I have
awkward.
destroyed your podcast, Dave. No, so Denver dating, it's just real competitive, I feel. And I feel like nobody wants to commit, and I'm going right back into nobody wants to commit in Denver. It's like, and if you do commit, like, it takes months from what I've heard. Mm-hmm. Like, people take forever, to do it. And when I met Eric, it was pretty much like, and I was moving to Atlanta, like, a month later. And it was pretty much like, well, we're going to have to do this long distance thing until I can get back. So we did that for a year, and then I moved back. And, we were both just, done. Mm-hmm. So
when you know, right?
I guess I don't know, and it's lucky, fucking lucky for me, man. Because I don't know anybody.
Yeah, you're
a pain in the ass. Yeah,
you're tough to handle.
I come on your podcast and I just destroy it.
So there's a Peter Pan syndrome. That's why people just don't want to grow up.
Okay, I've heard you say that before. Yeah.
We talked about that on the very first podcast. I think the very first episode. And it's true, like, there's Peter Pan syndrome, you don't want to grow up, and then there's this avoidant attachment style that, like, nobody wants to commit.
Yeah.
And I was there before, too. It was, like, 2 long-term relationships back-to-back where the first one's like, oh, come home to Omaha to meet my family. And just make that face of, like, no thanks, but no thanks. I'm not much for travel right now. I always had an excuse.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my daughter this, so work schedule that. And then it came down to like, well, Dave, you're such a freaking stick in the mud. Why don't you just say yes to a vacation with your girlfriend? So she had asked me to go to Vegas, and I said, yeah, let's go to Vegas. End of October, end of pool season.
Vegas, yeah.
Maybe it was mid-October. Well, I'd always made the joke of like, well, if I ever go to Vegas, I'm coming back married, because that's how impulsive I am.
Oh.
Which is ironic because I'm an avoidant attachment style. I'm like, oh yeah, we meet in Vegas for the weekend and I come back married. Well, this case, I came back single. Yeah.
Well,
that's how well I did Vegas.
Yeah. Did you get one of those like little hooker cards? Where you flip it over? And
no, I didn't even venture outside the casino.
It's legal there.
That's
a slam dunk.
If I'm ever hard up.
Right?
It's so close to Portland. That's why people...
Right, seriously. They just funnel them up there. Yeah. So
2 sums, 3 sums. Quads,
a full, 18 some, I guess. I don't know. They have, Safe Sex Portland or something is, an organization up there where they plan
that should
events.
Be everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they plan orgies, and then they host them at these events.
And they spend all their budget on condoms. Pretty
much, and lube. And okay, so
you did just dirty it up.
I did just a little bit. Made it wet and wild. So I know I'm at an alternative lifestyle, and there's only 10% of my kind out there because I'm gay, and I know that's a little weird for people and all that other stuff. But I would consider myself to be a very conservative, boring. Because I get people that meet me all the time, and they're like, "Oh, you're gay." Girls love that, and they're always like, "Oh, you'll be my gay friend, and I can be your fag hag." And I'm like, dude, well, first of all, I don't really go to gay clubs because. Second
of all, you're not boring.
Yeah.
Because you're like a. I don't want to say firecracker. You might be more like a bonfire at home.
It's pretty bad. I'm surprised the house is just kidding. We have no smoke detectors either. We have none. I don't know why that came up, but we don't. So
I'm listening to the Comedy Station on the way over here, just kind of get prepped for this, and Somebody said that's the last time I cook with an open flame on the Hindenburg.
Yeah.
And that's what I view as your relationship.
I personify that statement. I'm even German. People like I don't use my real last name.
Well, now you're 5% of the population.
Yeah, seriously. Well, people always say because my last name is not Merritt. It's a long, horrible German name, and I changed it because I do say inappropriate things on my podcast and everything like that. But I get people all the time. They're like, "Are you Jewish?" And I'm like, "Oh, no. We're the other side. Like we're very sorry people. It's bad."
With a bad reputation, but I think you got time to clean it up.
Well, they should have. I mean, it's
So
been
tell us-
50 years?
So tell me
60
longer
years?
than that. 70-ish.
Thank you.
Ish.
I don't do math. That's why I don't do the poly thing. I'm like 1 and then 5. I can't do that.
Counting fingers are hard enough.
There's just all this shit flying at me. What is going on? Sorry.
That's right. We're just having an authentic conversation.
Very authentic.
And we're hiding behind these walls.
Yeah. Nobody can hear us. It'll be our secret. Nobody will tell.
This isn't in
Nobody
33
knows.
countries or anything like that.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
I know.
Hi.
And actually, Germany likes the podcast.
Oh. That's why I don't use my real last name then.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. How do you say hi in Germany? Auf Wiedersehen, right? Oh, that's goodbye.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, I'll look it up.
Okay.
So
I'm only a little bit German.
I'm like major German. So
Wow, that escalated quickly.
it really did. Well, the bad thing is too. Here's another thing too. I usually shave my head, and I travel a lot for my real job. So I'll shave my head, and I'll be like wearing glasses, and I'll be reading like the history of World War II while I'm like sitting in the airport.
God, really?
And I just can imagine people, because I love that crap. I mean, I'm a history buff too, so I love reading history. And I can just imagine these people walking by me like, what the hell is with this guy? But I digress.
So we were talking about your single girlfriends, and they're like so
let's get
excited.
back.
They're so excited to meet you because you're going to be the one guy at the bachelorette party.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like that. And by the way, I don't want to go to a bachelorette party. I want to go to a bachelor
I saw that the other day. They were all wearing matching shirts, and there's one guy skipping down the street.
And then and he's got like the veil on, like they all have the veils on, kind of.
One
thing.
veil, but the sunglasses. The bigger the better.
Yeah.
I think was the theme of the bachelorette party.
So like, I might be the gay guy, but I'm a guy. I don't like to wear women's clothing. I do love Drag Race though. RuPaul's Drag Race, got a shout out to Yvie Oddly. She just won last night, so
Okay.
And I know her.
Okay.
But so I'm not like a drag queen. I'm not like a girly girl that want to sit there and do makeup. Obviously, you can tell.
Yeah, you're wearing a tuxedo.
I know exactly.
T-shirt.
I'm not wearing a dress, but it's like the whole like that kind of thing. It's just like it's weird. It's like I think it's starting to get out of society because it's more accepted now, and more people are like I mean, if you're very feminine and stuff and you're a guy, that's awesome. Like, go for it, go hang out. But I'd rather be with like the bachelors and being a weirdo and doing my weird thing with all the guys,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like I was listening to I Wish I Was Dead, and you had Misty on as your guest.
yeah, she's
Your
awesome.
guest
Missy, you are awesome.
And it was almost like, is he flirting with her? I can't tell.
I know, it's weird, huh? It's very weird. A lot of people when they listen, they're like, what? And then I had to send you that text because it's kind of like an underlying theme. We don't really focus on it at all, but I was like, I should probably let him know before I show up there. We were talking about dating in Denver that I'm married to a dude. so yeah.
And that's definitely an authentic relationship.
Right.
And you guys just happen to choose monogamy and not live in Portland and polyamory and
Nothing wrong with that though.
yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah.
This is a non-judgment zone.
We don't judge your kink. I really don't.
So what's the worst or best story you've heard from your group of girlfriends about dating in Denver? Maybe it came from Tinder. Maybe it came from meeting at the bar.
Okay, so I have a girl. So listen to this. So this is a good one.
Is she all right with us sharing it?
I'm not gonna say her name.
Okay.
She probably won't know. It's kind of a generic story. Well, I don't know.
All right,
Anyway,
let's
so
have it.
she meets a guy, does the first date, and then they both are like, what would be really fun? Let's go to Vail this weekend together. First date,
Mistake.
then an overnight.
Uh-huh.
So they go up to Vail. They're having a great time. They're really vibing on each other. They like each other. They're sexually attracted to each other. Hoo-haws and hee-hees everywhere kind of thing. And I call it hoo-haws and hee-hees.
Tell me.
Because like when a man sees a woman's vagina, he's like, hoo-ha! And then when a girl sees a guy's dick, she's like, hee-hee. So there's another joke for you. So anyways,
I think we're only gonna put this on YouTube.
Yeah, sorry.
Like my face and my laugh, it doesn't come across so much on the podcast. But they go to Vail. They see their hoo-ha's and their hee-hees.
But so, okay, yeah, we're back. I derail stuff all the time. So we're back in Vail.
It's so fucking awkward in here
Isn't it great? King of awkward. So so they go to Vail and they're in bed and they're doing it. And he like chokes her. But doesn't ask, just goes in for it. And first of all, guys, if you're doing that in bed without a girl you don't know that well, and you don't ask, like, what a psychopath. She freaks out, and like they both stop what they're doing, and then they had to drive all the way from Vail. They had to spend the night and then drive all the way back down from Vail after
That's
that.
an expensive
situation.
Uber ride.
And they're just like this the whole time. Yeah.
They left in the middle of the night?
No, they finished. They stayed there that night, and then the next morning they got up real early. They were supposed to have a full day of stuff, and they just left the next morning together.
Wow. So we knew that it was going to go derailed from the first time that they were like, yeah, let's take a weekend trip.
You don't know the person.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
So don't travel to or from
with someone
that quickly. Yeah. That's right. And also, you got to have boundaries.
Yes.
Like
the choking. If you're into that and everything like that, like I said, great, cool.
But discuss it. Have that authentic
You need to have that conversation because I don't blame her one bit.
No, not at all.
You don't know the guy, and you're getting hot and heavy, and then he starts choking you.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of creep would do that? I don't know. Just something that little dating advice from Neil. Don't choke people unless you ask.
I would also recommend that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what else you got?
What else do I got?
What else do you need to know from me? What other advice can I give your listeners? I am a very smart, intelligent person here to help you get laid.
So we're gonna play a game for the very first time in the history of our podcast. We're gonna play a game.
Okay.
And we're gonna finish it off. Normally, I ask like, what best advice do you have for our listeners? And obviously, we're not gonna get anything quality here.
Don't listen to me. Nothing I do or tell you is gonna be good. So.
But I do want to hear a story, and it starts with this. Just fill in the blank.
Okay.
When I was younger.
And just a story. When I was younger, I witnessed a shooting on Colfax and then had to hide in my car while they cleaned it up.
Ooh, that's heavy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy.
So the guy got shot right next to my car.
And you were hiding in your car as a witness or simply just...
Well, it happened. I was friends. Let me tell you the story.
Okay.
I was friends with, and I won't say his name, but he was a local news guy here in Denver. We were good friends. And we were out partying that night. And I had a little too much to drink. And it was parked right at Colfax. And there's a 7-Eleven right here, an X-Bar back here. And the reason I brought up that he's a news guy, because that'll come in the story. So he wanted to go into the bar, and I was like, dude, I'm done. I want to go home. And they didn't have Uber back then, and I didn't have any cash on me. So I was like, you know what? I'll just crawl in my back seat, lay down, take a quick nap, and then wake up and leave, which is not recommended by anybody. This is when I was younger. Remember?
When I was younger, that's the story.
When I was younger. So, so then I fell asleep, and then I heard a loud bang, like it was like an hour later. And I look up, and there's a guy running by me, and then there's a guy that's shot like maybe a couple yards from the top front of my car. And I was like, holy crap. Oh my gosh. Like instantly, cops surround, because there's a police station right there. Mm-hmm. Cops surround it, they got the tape up and everything. And I'm laying in the back seat in the middle of a crime scene while they're getting it all fixed and taking the guy to the hospital and all this other stuff. So I had to lay there. So what I did is I had a blanket in the back and I just covered myself and just fell asleep. And the next morning got up and left. So the next morning I get home, and on the news is my newscaster friend telling about a shooting off Colfax there, and they have a live shot, and my car is right there in the live shot.
But not of your little head poking up.
No, I wish.
From the back.
That would have made it even better. We'll say that it was. You guys don't know. We'll say that it was. So
we'll say that they caught my face on camera.
They caught my face on camera. But anyways, what?
No lies on the Authentic Dating Podcast, by the way.
No lies. No lies. And I just told a lie.
Yeah, I know. I called you out on it.
Dave, I'm sorry.
So he's reporting the news story the next day. Did you ever have to like be a witness, fill out a form?
No, he nothing. It was just my car was there. But I did text him while he was doing it. And you can see, like, he goes to commercial break and they come back because they're finishing the rest of the story. And his eyes were huge because he was right there with me and he knew I was in that car. So it's just kind of a funny, weird story. Guy survived. He was fine.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah, so I did follow it all the way through. So the guy was fine. It was a gang shooting. But, yeah, it was just an interesting story. I don't think that was what you were going for, though.
Probably not. But Denver since has kind of really cleaned up its act.
It has. It's gotten a lot better. It's growing.
Safer.
A lot more professionals out there. Good for the dating scene. You know, and I don't know. It's probably one of my favorite cities. I lived in Atlanta. Didn't like that so much, but I love Denver. So, and I'm from here. Mm-hmm. Are you from here?
Yeah, like 26 years.
Oh, wow.
So
37.
most of my life.
Yeah.
Ish.
So we're a mile high.
Now I'll ask if you have anything that we didn't cover today.
We're good.
I think we went from scraping your knee on a bicycle wreck to a car wreck to a train wreck to the Hindenburg all in one episode.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I came. I saw. I destroyed it.
I fucked shit up.
Fuck shit up. And I'm going to give you the same opportunity next weekend to come on mine, and we will do all of it about dating, and maybe we'll just switch the two.
There are 2 stories that I want to tell on your podcast.
I am so excited for
and
those.
In order for this community of authentic daters to tune in and hear 2 stories that I've never shared on the BBR podcast. One about a plane ride back from San Diego.
Okay.
And the other about the Brian chick. So if my listeners want to listen to these 2 stories, they have to subscribe over on Spotify, iTunes. Hopefully it's on iTunes by then. Subscribe to the I Wish I Was Dead podcast with Neil Merritt.
You know how I have you saved on my phone?
It is
Dave, that Brian chick. And I was going to change it once I saw your last name. I was like, no, I'm going to keep it. So you just made my day.
These are definitely stories that I share within our subscriber and our sponsorship site, patreon.com/BBR podcast. So you can get these stories, but if you want to tune in and get them on a podcast episode, then listen to Neil Merritt, subscribe to I Wish I Was Dead podcast. And where else can they get a hold of you if they want to connect and bring you on to their bachelorette party?
Oh, yeah. If you want me to come to your bachelorette party, hit us up on Facebook, I Wish I Was Dead. We have Instagram, I Wish I Was Dead podcast. You can also email me at iwishIwasdead@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And look forward to hearing your stories. Look forward to you guys listening more and, hopefully not destroying Dave's podcast in the future.
We're going to either gain some listeners or lose some listeners based on...
Probably both. We're at a good starting point.
So you wore the tuxedo t-shirt today, but in all of your bio pics, it's a...
Dr. Phil.
It's Dr. Phil t-shirt.
Yeah, so you see a guy screaming like this and a big head of Dr. Phil? That's me. Like that page.
I couldn't quite tell if I was subscribing to the right Facebook page.
I know, people get weirded out. And then you got me in my pizza hoodie and my underwear as the cover photo. I mean, it's classy. I like to class it up. So
earlier, we were talking about kickball. And we're going to go off on a tangent here before we close it out. Kickball, dressing up in costume, and going out to the bar.
No.
That's either cosplay or furries are these 2 things that I've heard about. Mm-hmm. That we don't judge your kink.
We don't.
I think is literally what you said earlier.
We don't.
We don't judge your kink.
It's not my thing. Yeah.
Non-judgment here on the BBR podcast.
Yeah.
But a lot of judgment over on the I Wish I Was Dead.
We hate everyone. I'm kidding.
Especially people who take offense to the smallest of things.
Oh yeah, if I say something that makes you mad, send me an email. Comment on the picture. Let me know. I'll read it out and pretty much tell you to go to hell. So I'm kidding. Just listen to my podcast. I'll tell you.
So let's touch on cosplay and furries.
Okay.
Before we take off for the day.
Okay.
What's your take?
I mean, like I said, not for me personally. I think they're fun when they have the conventions because you can go down and see all the crazy costumes.
It's great people watching.
Great people watching. I feel like some of them take it to kind of rule their life to a certain point where it's a little unhealthy.
Like they have a separate Instagram account for it?
Yeah, or they're like doing it all the time. And It's kind of like, moderation is great. I mean, do it in moderation. But
except for drinking.
Yeah, except
Just
for drinking.
kidding.
No, drink a lot. Smoke a lot of pot with Denver. That's what you do here. Everywhere I travel, they're like, "Oh, weed's legal." I'm like, "Yeah, so it's like 6 other states. Why are we being focused on it?" I guess it's because we're the first.
One of,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, Oregon really messed it up. I'm not sure if that was Portlandites that really screwed it up, or they just gave away too many business licenses for the marijuana industry.
Well, and you can't buy it the same way you can here. Like here, it's like a uniform, established business, and up there, you're like walking into like cousin Danny's back room. You know, it's strange. So, and you buy like the giant cookies, and the thing about it is, if you eat that whole cookie, it'll kill you. So it's just not really regulated like we are.
Is it the sugar or is it the
weed? I mean, it's probably like that whole cookie is like 100 milligrams. I mean, you would be stoned for like years. So anyways.
I don't know much about marijuana.
Yeah, I don't.
It doesn't sound plausible.
I used to smoke a lot when I was a kid. Now I'm older. I don't want to be paranoid all the time. I'm awkward enough as it is.
That's very true.
You know, so. But furries, back to where we were. Since I like to derail everything on this podcast. Go for it. Do it.
This will be the only taping that's unpublished.
Yeah.
You're only going to be able to get this in the Patreon account.
Yeah, it's going to click here. It's going to say sensitive comment or content. Click here if you want to watch. And then here's my jackass.
Some content may be inappropriate for anyone under 35.
It's going to have like a rated RNC 17 rating. I don't know. So this is really fun. I'm really sorry that I'm just... he's got a list here that we're supposed to be following, and I am ruining it.
We didn't even get to like 17 in my course.
I am so sorry.
It's all right.
I am so sorry. We'll give you... My episode with you will be all you. So we'll make up for it then.
For the people who downloaded this episode, we'll give them their money back.
We're sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, guys.
Sorry, not sorry.
That's how authentic we're gonna be.
Yeah.
So the people watching for cosplay and furries downtown, they take it a little too far.
If you take it too far, not good. Mm-hmm. But if you do it every once in a while, cool.
Okay.
I'm fine with it. The dressing up in costumes, that's another one though too. If you're going out every single time you go to a bar and you're dressed up as a wrestler or a pirate or something, I mean,
you're either in a kickball league with a bar problem or...
yeah, or you're like in a cosplay situation that you can't get out of. So, but yeah, all of it is in moderation. Do it all in moderation is my advice.
Yeah. And respect other people's boundaries.
Respect other people's boundaries.
That's a big takeaway for me.
That's actually a big one. Yeah, that's good. And it's something that I work on pretty much every day. So, with the awkwardness and all that other stuff. I get away with a lot more than most people because of my devilishly good looks.
You have hair today.
I know. Well, I was going to shave it too, but then I was too busy, and so I had to rush over here, and I'm like, screw it.
It comes down to a joke of two Germans sitting in an office talking about cosplay. And you would have a shaved head.
Yes. Yeah.
Which only comes across well on YouTube. On that note, guys. That face. On that note, guys, I want to thank Neil Merritt from the I Wish I Was Dead podcast for coming by and spending some time and kind of spicing things up here on the BBR podcast, which is something that we have needed for such a long time because our listeners are definitely getting tired of hearing me drone on about, oh, it's so lovey-dovey and it's so positive, and it's not always so positive.
So for someone that hasn't listened to all the episodes, but I did listen to a couple, I really value what you're doing here. I know I come on and I'm joking around and stuff, but it was such a privilege that you asked me on here and to be on here with you, and keep doing what you're doing, man. I mean, you got some good stuff.
Thank you.
You really do. And the TMI stuff, you got another episode. I got a shit ton of TMI. So.
I think we're going to touch on long distance relationships specifically and online dating in a mini episode or two coming up. Or this podcast episode airs 2 months down the road, and we've just covered long distance relationships and online dating in mini episodes. So if you haven't gotten a chance to listen to those, do it after you check out my Wish I Was Dead podcast.
And follow that advice and not mine.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh.